Hi, this is Jason Strom, and I want to talk about my leadership model. But before I do, I want to take a second just to talk about why I think it's important that we have a leadership model. As leaders, we all manage people, and as part of that, I think it's important, critically important upon us as leaders to ensure that all of our team members understand what's important to us. I think it's important to set the tone for the organization so that they know what drives us and what's important to us, so that everybody can be on the same page. And I think it's important that we set that so that not only we can be successful as leaders, but also the people that report to us can be successful in what they do based on the expectations that we drive as leaders. The other thing that I think is important is that there's no one model that works for everybody. I think a lot of it's driven on what motivates us, what drives us, and I've taken a lot of what goes into my model based on the experiences I've had over the last 2 decades in thinking about managers that I've worked for and aspects of what drove them and what was part of whether it was a formal leadership model or not, but what were the things that drove me and inspired me to do great things. So that's part of it, and also at the same time thinking about what were those things that some leaders I've worked for may have done or were part of their inadvertent model that maybe I didn't view as important, or I viewed it potentially as detracting from my behavior and what I was doing to drive success for the organization. So that's why I think leadership model is important, and my leadership model is it's drawn a bit as a continuous circle, but with the focus, I'll start with the middle around customer focused. I think everything we need to do should be driven around how is this improving the customer, how are we improving not only what we deliver to the customer, including, but it can also be back office things around billing, contracting, support. Everything that we're doing, the organization should be thinking about how is this making the relationship with the customer better. That should be the forefront and forethought of most everything that we do. So that's why I've got the customer focused in the middle. And then I'll start at the top, which is team alignment, which I think team alignment is incredibly important. Obviously, people and teams can have different styles and etc. But I think alignment of the leadership team on the strategic direction is critically important. Everyone may not always agree, but we need to have that alignment. When we leave the room as a leadership team, we've got to be aligned around what we're going to do, the message we're sending to the organization, what is critically important, what are those focus areas that we need to deliver on, both in the short term and long term. So I start with team alignment, which is very important to me. And then secondly is around clarity of strategy and purpose. And this goes well beyond the leadership team, but for the entire organization, it's, in my mind, very important that we have clarity around the strategy. So what are we trying to do as an organization? What's our mission? What's our purpose? When people come in every day, of course there's always the short-term things that we've got to get done, but is it aligned with the longer-term strategy and purpose that we're driving as an organization? Which helps people, if they're clear on that, it can help them prioritize and think about what I'm doing today, what I'm doing each and every day, is it aligned to the strategy and purpose of what we as an organization are trying to drive? And then from there, act with a sense of urgency. I think it's really important that everybody across the organization acts with a sense of urgency, again, focused on this customer focused. But are we acting with a sense of urgency to drive, whether it's results, which I've got over here around performance driven, but just in doing what we're doing day in and day out to drive the performance of the organization, but again around are we delivering on the promise to our customers. In the bottom, I've got to promote innovation and continuous improvement. So creating that culture of innovation and continuous improvement. When I think of innovation, it's not just innovation in creating new products and services. Innovation can come from many places. It can be from our contracting group, whether that they've got an innovative new way to go to market with contracting to support customers. Continuous improvement, not always thinking about, well, this is always the way we've done it, but how can we do things better? And to me, this is what we talk about internally is this culture of not just continuous improvement, but are we challenging each other in a constructive way? So we talk about constructive challenge as a framework for people to, in a very respectful way, be allowed to constructively challenge decisions, choices, the way we do things, and do it in a respectful way. But it's something that we try to push down to the organization where everybody feels empowered to constructively challenge all in the realm of this continuous improvement. And again, this can come from many different areas of the organization. You know, how we go to market from a sales perspective, how we do back office contracting, billing, collecting, financials, reporting. It can be many different areas, but are we setting that culture and tone where we want to continuously push people to question? It's okay to question, is what I always tell people. You know, why are we doing things certain ways? And then from there, I've got engagement and empowerment, and this is really for the teams. And not necessarily, and actually less so important at the leadership level, but down in the organization. How do we empower our team members at all levels of the organizations to take the appropriate amount of risk and to question and to push things and make decisions? You know, we don't want to stifle the organization where all decisions have to be bubbled up and up to your manager, then the next level manager. We want to empower people so that they feel they've got the authority to make those decisions. And you know, if we're going to fail fast. But you know, with that empowerment comes engagement, and I think that those two are very linked. And I think having a very engaged organization drives a lot of motivation. It supports this process of continuous improvement. So these are really all linked. It also, you know, people act with a much higher sense of urgency when they feel engaged and empowered in what they do day in and day out. And then finally here I've got performance-driven. I think it's important, again, to set a culture of performance-driven activity in what we do. There's no short-term, or there's no long-term without the short-term, so we've got to deliver on the financial results, what we need to do. That drives growth in the organization, allows us to continue to invest, and it's a cycle, I think, that can really, again, if everything's, not everything, but if most things are focused on the customer experience, when we're thinking about how is this going to impact the customer, performance-driven, you know, that leads to much more engaged people, empowered people in the organization, and it's kind of a continuous wheel that we look at, and again, starting at the top with this alignment, and you know, priorities change, focuses change, and so when that happens, I think it's, again, starting at the top, making sure that the team's aligned, alignment on the strategy, acting with a sense of urgency, continuously try to continuous improvement in this culture of innovation leads to empowerment, more engaged employees, and that will drive significant performance across the organization. So that's my model that I've been toying with and working on. Again, it's based on several years of experience in working and reflecting on leaders that I've worked for and things that they drove purposely across the organization, and thinking what at the end of the day really motivated me to perform well for the people that I worked for. So those are the things that really have gone into this model. So thank you.